Oh, hey, here we are. Welcome to Monday morning, October 28th, 2024. This is Up North News Radio. I'm Pat Kreitlow here in Chippewa Falls. Show's coming up at 6:06 here across the Civic Media Radio Network. And on the program, we'll have Kristen Lyerly coming up, and we will talk about the weekend's events, including yikes, that rally that Trump had at Madison Square Garden yesterday. That was really something. Then in our second hour, we will talk to Selena Heller as well as Matthew Lenner, who is the chair of the College Democrats of Wisconsin. College students are getting texted with false information, or at least information that's designed to intimidate them into not voting. We will sort out fact from the completely fictitious, and we will cover other stories making news as we start this final week of the 2024 campaign. And we will be joined at the end of the show by a new Monday regular at 7:50. Greg, you ever heard of this person? She's kind of new to the scene, a radio rookie by the name of Jane. How do you say this? Matnair? Is that right?
Wait, we're getting Jane Matnair at the end of the show?
We are getting Jane Matnair at 7:50 every Monday.
Okay. All right.
Okay,
Just
so get it together, man. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. All right. Radio's Grand Dame will be along here before the end of the show. All coming up starting at 6:06. See you in a bit.
across Wisconsin from Civic Media. This is Up North News Radio. Now, live from our Lake Wissota studio, here's the founding editor of Up North News, Pat Brightlow.
Well, hey there, Wisconsin. Good morning. It's 6:06 on this Monday morning, October 28th, 2024. Only 8 days to go until Election Day. It's another beautiful morning to have you here up north, live from Lake Wissota, from wherever you're listening across the Civic Media Radio Network. And whether it's on your radio, on the app, through a podcast, or on social media, we appreciate you starting your day and your week right here. I've got a question for you. Remember Tim Michels? Remember those obnoxious ads about Tim Michels and all the talk about whether a businessman could run things better? And think about how good it has felt that we haven't seen a Tim Michels commercial in these past couple of years. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you do everything just right, if you've already voted, or if you go vote early this week, if you talk a couple of friends into voting, if you convince one person who's thinking of sitting it out not to sit it out, then I'll tell you what, you might be only about 8 days away from never seeing another Eric Hovde ad. And Eric Hovde can join Tim Michels in the class of folks whose commercials you never, ever have to see again. And that can't happen too soon. That's just one. I mean, forget the Donald Trump commercials. Let's talk about the Donald Trump rally from yesterday in Manhattan, okay? In New York City, in New York, a state he doesn't have a prayer of winning, but that's where he campaigns because he can fill an arena with enough of his ilk out there. And we're going to play a sample, just a small sample. Trust me, an offensive sample, but just a sample of what all went down at the Trump rally yesterday as basically his campaign completes its natural evolution. What started as, maybe some angry outsiders, but it was always going to eventually morph into, just shamelessly public racism. And boy, was it on display last evening. Also coming up, we will review the latest Packers win and the possibility that quarterback Jordan Love will again be lost to injury for perhaps a short time. Coming up in our second hour, college students are getting texted with false information or just information designed to intimidate them into not voting. So we will sort out fact from the criminally fictitious and cover more of the stories making news on this final full week of the 2024 campaign. All that and more ahead. If you'd like to join the show, 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842. He said, hoping that he got that right from memory. Why, yes, he did. Or you can join us through the comment sections on our Facebook or YouTube pages. By the way, that phone number, don't just call it. You can send us text messages too. He said, as he typically on Monday mornings, he's not quite all set up on his desktop there, but there's the window. I can now see your text messages when they come in at 855-75-CIVIC. So many different ways to reach the show. And when you do so, you'll reach me up here in Chippewa Falls, and you'll reach one Greg Bach at Radio, what do we call it? Radio Park? Radio Park. Radio Rama? Radio Ranch? Okay.
It's Radio Park, Pat. Stay on brand.
Radio Park on brand here, where Mr. Bach joins us with another surprise that coming up at 7:50. We have a new weekly regular guest joining us Monday mornings at 7:50. She's kind of new to radio, so you're gonna have to be a little gentle with her. Her name is Jane Matinaire.
Yeah, baby.
That Jane Matinaire. The Dame Judi Dench of Milwaukee radio.
Actually, they call Dame Judi Dench. They call her the Jane Matinaire of English.
That's
acting.
right. I'm sorry, I got the notes completely backwards here, but I approached Jane last week. I said, "Your Majesty, would you deign us worthy to join us on at 7:50 on any day of the week? You name it. If we got to bump Chad Holmes, if I got to bump Luke Mathers, I'll kick him to the curb if you will join the show." And not only did she say yes, but she said yes to Mondays. So Jane, who you normally hear with Greg weekday mornings at 10, will also preview her week's shows coming up Monday mornings with us now. So, boy, you got to straighten up and fly right a couple hours earlier than normal, don't you?
Oh, please. As soon as I'm done here, I go right into a prep room with Jane, and we make sure that Matt and Aaron Air coming to you at 10 a.m. on Civic Media Radio Network is going to be quality, highest quality around, baby.
It is. It's going to be great to have her. How was your weekend? Let me start with an apology while you think about it. I didn't catch this till after the show. That last Friday, which was a little hectic, we're coming up on the election and everything. Yeah. Last Friday was the first ever Friday morning since you joined this little shindig that I neglected to ask what was happening at the Laughing Tap over the weekend. So sorry about that. How was it?
It was fun. We had a good time this weekend. We had 2 shows. Justin Leon headlined. He's a Milwaukee comic, originally from Kansas City. Had a really fun time. And then let's see what else. A friend of ours was staying over. She's getting trained as a poll observer for the election, so she crashed with us on Saturday. Mm-hmm. That was really cool. And then on Sunday, one of the co-owners of the Laughing Tap had his yearly birthday party, and he made 40 pounds of various meats.
Was this for a 40th birthday, or he just felt like making 40 pounds of meat?
That's what his hobby is smoking. He does smoke. Let's see. He smoked ribs, brisket, chicken wings. What else was there? There was homemade mac and cheese. He made a smoked salsa. It was fantastic.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. So you got a little meat sweats going?
I had some weird dreams, Pat.
Go figure.
Yeah,
well, good.
It was a fun weekend. How about you?
A busy weekend. We had a large benefit event just up the road here in Jim Falls for a 14-year-old girl who was badly injured in a motorized scooter accident. She has a traumatic brain injury, and so this was a fundraiser for the family. They have insurance, but there's all these bills to travel to see her where she's hospitalized, and there's other kids and work that's missed. And so some neighbors, Sherry and I worked at the benefit. We're not going to take any credit for it, but some other friends of ours were tireless in putting this thing together. Hundreds of people showed up and hopefully raised a good amount of money. So many businesses donated. Sherry and I were working a booth where we were helping to give away Packers tickets, Vikings tickets. There was this, a wheelbarrow that was just loaded with new lawn and garden tools. There was a Blackstone grill. There was another pellet grill. I mean, just so many things that businesses donated for this thing. And the camaraderie, it was a perfect day out there. The family was there. They were extremely gracious, with their time, given all that they've been going through. And then we had to leave there and then turn right around and head out to Northfield, Minnesota for a Halloween party. A friend of ours was singing with a band, a different band than what she normally sings with. Normally it's kind of an acoustic folk type of band. And she was filling in for a singer in a rock band at this Halloween party.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I know. It was kind of different. And I told her right then and there, I'm like, you need to drop that acoustic stuff. You can rock this. You got this. So it was fun to see her. And something that I didn't tell you on Friday when I asked about your weekend, and you talked about being, did you say a Halloween Grinch, or you just don't really get into the Halloween scene? And I didn't really want to steal your thunder to go, yeah, me too. I'm not the world's biggest Halloween dresser-upper and everything, but for this, I went and got a costume, which, knowing me, I love to wear, suits. And so, of course, I picked up a suit that makes me look like a 30s gangster, whatever, with the fedora and the tie and everything. So I actually gussied up a bit, which when we told our daughters that, they just about fell over. They're like, Dad, you dressed up on Halloween? I'm like, yes, I did it this time. Who knows? At the age of 60, maybe I'm finally evolving on Halloween.
And this is your new look. This is your new thing. It's from November 1st until next year. You'll be like tirelessly working on your own custom-made costumes.
Actually, it did get me thinking about it. I'm like, okay, next year we're going to step this up a bit. We're actually going to get a good suit, and we're going to do this. Yeah, there might actually be something to that. I don't know, but it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of work. Took my mom out to lunch yesterday, where we found a place in the Twin Cities that had the Packers game on, and so I got to watch that, and was very, very encouraged. Except for that whole part of Jordan Love going down, apparently pulling his groin. Here comes the old joke, preferably his own, and so now he's out of sorts for a little bit here, but hopefully not too long.
Yeah,
we don't
he's making
know
a lot of money,
yeah. But groin injuries or hamstrings, things like that. If you rush it, you're just going to end up being out again.
Yep.
But once again, backup quarterback Malik Willis was able to rise to the occasion and rallied the Packers to, for the second week in a row, a drive that set up a game-winning field goal, and the Packers were able to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars on the road 30-27. So once again, the new kicker, Brandon McManus, 2 weeks in a row, gets to be the hero here. It was fun to see, fun to listen to. I heard a lot of the game on the radio driving back in, but that's 4 in a row for the Packers now.
They're 6-2 now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Holy cow, we're halfway through the season already.
Yes, we are.
Holy crumb.
Yeah, and doing all right. Next, the Packers will be at Lambeau Field next Sunday to host the Detroit Lions. So that should be a good one. 3:25 will be the game start, and you'll be able to catch that on stations in Richland Center, Park Falls, and Racine Kenosha. The Milwaukee Bucks lost to the Brooklyn Nets, 115-102. Yesterday, Giannis had 22 points and 12 rebounds for the Bucks, but they have now dropped 2 straight. After winning their opener, they are in Boston tonight, and they will play the Celtics at the Garden. Third-ranked Penn State lost their quarterback to injury, but still hung on to outlast the Wisconsin Badgers at Camp Randall Saturday night, 28-13. They'll next play at Iowa Saturday night at 6:30. The game will be on NBC, but you can also catch it on civic media stations in Amory, Wisconsin Rapids, Racine Kenosha, and Richland Center. A little bit more sports for you, and then we'll talk about that weird racist Trump rally in Manhattan coming up next. Wherever you're listening across Wisconsin, when you're here, you're up north, live from Lake Wissota on the Civic Media Radio Network. Got a little Stevie Wonder album trivia on today's history lesson coming up about 30 minutes from now. Kristen Lyerly coming up in about 15 minutes here on Up North News Radio. A few Badger notes in sports. The Badger women's volleyball team is ranked 8th in the nation. They took down number 10 Purdue in straight sets while on the road. That brings the Badger women to 9-1 in Big Ten play. And then there is the volleyball Clash of the Titans coming up this Friday night when the Badgers will host second-ranked Nebraska. The Badger men's hockey team, they were swept at Denver University. Denver is the top-ranked men's team in the country. The Badger men now dropped to 1-5 on the season. They will next play this coming Friday and Saturday at Notre Dame. Friday night's game will be on WFHR in Wisconsin Rapids. The Badger women's hockey team is ranked number 1 in the country, and they now moved to 10 straight wins to start the season after a sweep of Bemidji State. They will next play at St. Cloud State this coming Friday and Saturday. It is hard to know where to begin to talk about the Donald Trump rally at Madison Square Garden. It's something that's been talked about for weeks, in part because Trump and his campaign played it up so much as this kind of America First rally that really likened itself to certain rallies of past regimes where it was all about the nationalism, it was all about othering other groups and talking about supremacy, maybe even militarism if need be, perhaps violent rhetoric. And the rally turned out to be that and more. But I want to warn you, we're going to play an assortment of clips from this, and it's going to make you a little angry. It's going to make you want to maybe turn the radio, and don't, because I'm going to reward you on the other side of it with some words from somebody else at a different rally with a much different message. All right? So stick around for that. The Trump rally was an event that his campaign had dubbed he would deliver his closing message. And instead, it turned into really just an illustration of what turns off people about Donald Trump, except for, those who are of a certain level, of crudeness, or a certain level of, let's just say the words, racism and fascism. And yes, those words give an immediate gag complex to certain people, probably your own friends and neighbors, who say that is an overreaction, that you're being mean, that you're engaged in hyperbole. But then you hear the remarks, or you actually read the remarks, not just of Trump, but then especially the people who precede him at these rallies. Their names aren't on the ballot. They have nothing to fear in terms of retribution. So they will say the things that they know Donald Trump can't say, but the people in the crowd, who may all be, nice people, loving parents and good workers, but there's something uniquely flawed in the things that they're cheering. So listen to this 60 seconds worth of audio. On this, you're going to hear a comedian telling racist jokes and a joke about Puerto Rico that really isn't going to go well for the campaign. And you're going to hear some other speakers. And the last one you'll hear is Dr. Phil talking about DEI. And think about what he's got to say when you consider Dr. Phil is where he is because of a black woman named Oprah Winfrey. So maybe the guy ought to think twice about, being a diversity hire. This again, comments from the Madison Square Garden rally for Donald Trump.
You know something, Trump maniacs? I don't see no stinking Nazis in here. I don't see no stinking domestic terrorists in here.
Cool black guy with a thing on his head. What the hell is that? A lampshade? Look at this guy. Oh my goodness. I'm just kidding. That's one of my buddies. He had a Halloween party last night. We had fun. We carved watermelons together. It was awesome.
In fact, she is the devil, whoever screamed that out. She is the Antichrist.
There's a lot going on. I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah. I think it's called Puerto Rico. Okay. All right. Okay, we're getting there.
This country was built on hard work, added value, and talent, not on equal outcome, not on DEI.
Sure, Dr. Phil, whatever. And Greg, you recognized the comedian, quote unquote, who was telling the racist joke there about blacks and the crack about Puerto Ricans. This is a guy who, as I recall, already lost one gig for telling, basically racist jokes about I think it was a black comedian on the undercard with him.
Yeah, his name is Tony Hinchcliffe, and he's garbage. He is actually a floating piece of garbage in the middle of the ocean, in my opinion. He runs a game show. He's a game show host called Kill Tony, where he and a panel of other idiots make fun of comics while they're doing their comedy. And people pay money to see it. I don't get it, and I don't get him. He is terrible.
So because he can't make it as a comedian, basically, he makes his bones by mocking other people who can engage in comedy.
Yes, and it's made him a lot of money.
That checks out. That seems about par for the course.
It
anyway,
almost seems like Pat a grift.
It does seem like a grift, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, it's not really working out too well for him, given that you've got Jennifer Lopez and Ricky Martin and Bad Bunny and other Puerto Rican entertainers and social media leaders with millions and millions of followers. This is not going to work out real well for all the many Puerto Rican citizens who can vote, who have settled here in the U.S. But I promised you things would be a little better. This is Michelle Obama talking in Kalamazoo, Michigan yesterday, summing up how some of us feel after having to put up with crap like that.
So I hope you'll forgive me if I'm a little frustrated that some of us are choosing to ignore Donald Trump's gross incompetence while asking Kamala to dazzle us at every turn. I hope that you'll forgive me if I'm a little angry that we are indifferent to his erratic behavior, his obvious mental decline, his history as a convicted felon, a known slumlord, a predator found liable for sexual abuse, all of this, while we pick apart Kamala's answers from interviews that he doesn't even have the courage to do, y'all.
Nobody could say it better. Kristen Lyerly's next.
Forever you stay in my
And there she is now.
Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, I might play that Michelle Obama thing every half hour this morning.
She is something else, isn't
She has no more stuff to give, so no more craps to give. So.
Good morning.
So, what did you do with your weekend?
I, for the first time in months, made dinner.
You made dinner. Ooh.
Well, actually, it was Craig that made dinner. I made a pie.
What kind of pie did you make?
Apple. I make an award-winning apple pie.
Oh, that's right. It's award-winning.
Mm-hmm.
Do you serve
Varsity
it with
apple pie?
Do you serve it with cheese?
I don't.
Good. That
yeah.
seems weird. People like that. I don't know why.
I don't either. It doesn't really work for me, but no shame if you like your pie with cheese. I
I
like
guess.
it like that.
I guess. I don't have. I mean, I was so busy getting all the Trump rally stuff. I know there's other things like Kerry Washington was in in Wisconsin, but I don't have a lot to start with here. So
Pete Buttigieg on Saturday was up here.
oh, okay. Well, let's get into all of that then.
And we have a big endorsement.
Oh, even better. Hang on.
We haven't rolled it out yet, so you get the scoop.
Okay. Who's this? Oh, that Dan. Oh, okay, good. Oh, good. Oh, my goodness. All right. So much fun going on here. What are we going to do when this fun all goes away?
Have a different kind of fun?
Yes, exactly. All right. Oh, here, let me put this back up here so people don't have to look at my mug. And I've got 2 minutes to go dig up some other stuff, so I'm going to go do that.
Okay.
Something a little special here for Kristen Lyerly joining us now, candidate for Congress, OBGYN, and president of the Duran Duran fan club in perpetuity. Simon LeBon turning 65 yesterday.
Say it isn't so.
Dr. Lyerly, good morning.
Good morning. What a way to wake up. Thank you.
Your rock and roll crush is a senior citizen now. Congratulations.
No, I was a John Taylor girl.
Oh, sorry.
His birthday's in June.
Okay. Is he 65 already, or?
I don't know. Simon's the oldest one. So,
okay. All right.
Yeah. Why do I know this? I don't know.
I don't know. Stalker. How was your weekend?
It was so good. I got to hang out with Pete Buttigieg.
Did you?
Nice.
Yeah.
It was quite the surrogate weekend. I saw that Kerry Washington was making the rounds, of states. She was in Milwaukee. She was in Philadelphia. She's cutting some new national radio ads with John Legend and other artists for Vice President Harris. And then, you had the transportation secretary who, let's see, let me find, he had a post here that talked about all the places that he was. He'd been in Green Bay, Appleton, Oshkosh, Fond du Lac. He was all over. And his post says, "We can choose a better future where politics is no longer punching you in the face every time you look at the news." And that is exactly how it feels at some points. Like, can this just be done, Greg?
I mean, I don't know. Dr. Lyerly, did you get to hang out with a racist wrestler, a racist comedian, a failed talk show host? I mean, did you know? Okay, fine, whatever. I'll take my money to Madison Square Garden. It's fine.
I mean, good. What a contrast, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I mean, Pete Buttigieg was talking about his kids' Halloween costumes and wrapped it all beautifully into why we're doing what we're doing and how we need to create a better future for our kids. It was really a beautiful speech, and he's just captivating.
And there was just so much positivity from the vice president herself. I saw quite a clip of Governor Tim Walz reacting in real time, or maybe it wasn't real time, but reacting to the remarks at the Trump rally about Puerto Rico being a floating island of garbage.
Yeah.
I mean, what a study in contrast this weekend. And it just seems like, again, either if you're as part of the Trump movement, either you're that overconfident in what is going to happen next week, or you just don't care if you lose or not. You're just going, well, you've still got the spotlight. You're going to let hang out every bit of hatred that you might have for this country and some of the people in it.
We're seeing so many people who are traditionally Republicans just peeling away because they just don't want to be involved in this. And where I live, people are so fundamentally good and nice. I mean, all across the state, we're kind of famous for this. So many Republicans are like, I'm still a Republican, but no, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
And, that's heartwarming to hear them finally recognize and understand that this fear and division that the Trump folks just continue to double down on to make us uncomfortable, to separate us into different groups. It just isn't working anymore. And the timing couldn't be better with a week to go.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, the only way it wins is if there are enough people who will somehow embrace the racism, the sexism, the Christian nationalism, but just in a few key states, which is why you're seeing such a push in Wisconsin. It's why the ads are getting so old. And frankly, in my mind, it also explains why you've been continuing to knock on doors, something that I didn't really do as a congressional candidate. It's a monster district. You have to reach it through TV ads. But that was 12 years ago. And as people don't want to watch the ads, obviously your ads are still running. There's still a message to be gotten out there. But you also got to get people outside beyond their TVs because they're just so turned off by the messaging.
We're doing all of it, and we're really focusing our door knocking not in the metro areas, not in Green Bay and Appleton, but in Wittenberg and Algoma. Today we're going to be in Little Swamico. We're going to be in Wapaka. That's really where those voices are that haven't been heard in a long time, and people are really excited about the potential to be part of this change. So I am enthusiastic, and it's not just regular people. Bart Starr Jr., I was chatting with him the other day. I mean, son of the legendary Bart Starr. He's a Republican, a lifelong Republican. And I don't think he's changing his stripes, but he recognizes that the economy is the biggest issue for him. He's a financial advisor. And, he knows that Democrats are better for the economy. So he is using his voice, his platform to support Kamala Harris in this election. I think that's extraordinary, especially in a region like Northeast Wisconsin.
Right, which again had the big headline last week that State Senator Rob Coles was going to be voting for Kamala Harris. And he says he's still as Republican as they come. He's got the privacy of his own ballot, but I wouldn't be surprised if he voted in other races as well. You had the mayor of Waukesha as well. But less people think that, Kristen is just all about the sunshine and rainbows. You did put up a post as well that, you're still more than able to go toe to toe if some man marches up to you and says, "Young lady, I want to tell you a thing or two." And you still get that as a candidate.
Oh, I love it when people call me young lady.
I don't know if this particular gentleman did, but
yeah. No, we were at a diner yesterday, and a man walked up to me and very clearly said, "Yeah, I believe that life begins at conception, and it's a sperm and whatever." And he was seething. He was very uncomfortable. And I told him, I respect your beliefs, but you don't have the right to force your beliefs on other people. And then I asked him if he believed in freedom, and he didn't have an answer for that. He stormed away. And we need more of. I appreciate that he came up to me and he said that, and I am glad that I was able to respond in the way that I was, in the way that I did. But we need more conversations about what these issues really mean. Instead of just being sequestered in our camps, we've got to talk about what this means for us and the impact that it has on not just individuals, but families and communities as a whole.
Yeah, because again, I'm sure this guy thought maybe he could just, I don't know, intimidate you or just barrel over you in conversation. And what you're seeing out here from Kristen Lyerly on are people who are just no longer necessarily turning the other cheek and just saying, well, that's how it goes. You've got Kristen out there saying, do you not believe in freedom, for example, and all of the things that you're hearing surrogates say around the area. And again, from women with the Dobbs decision to women and minorities offended by what they've been hearing recently, to now all of our friends of Puerto Rican descent who live in the United States are saying enough of this. And by the way, I want to put in this side note. When Courier Newsroom started Up North News to bring information to voters and to bring it in places where it could do the most good. Obviously, there was a lot of talk about Wisconsin and Michigan and all of the the battleground states that are out there. But there is also a distinct entity just talking to the millions of people of Puerto Rican descent who now live in the United States, and to help make sure that they too feel like the Americans they are, the citizens that they are. And so to have, you had Sean Duffy representing this area for years, claiming, well, I'm just using tough love to help Puerto Rico. No, he wasn't. He was no different than everybody else, just trying to extract every dime out of it, for Wall Street's benefit. And it's just nice to see in these states, and now, with this particular territory, a proper pushback of saying, folks, we're just not going to take this anymore.
I feel like we're just at a tipping point right now. How far can we be pushed before we can effectively push back and really start to build community and do the work? I was talking with somebody yesterday about how the Trump side is so great at invoking fear and making us feel uncomfortable. And their messaging is effective. It makes us pull back. It makes us not want to talk to each other. But on the other side, we've got people who are trying to reach across the aisle and have hard conversations, and that requires effort. That's much harder. So the messaging is there and it's good, but it requires each of us to invest in each other and invest in a sense of community and want to build something bigger and brighter. It's harder, it's more work, but we're doing that work now, and it's going to require all of us to pitch in a way that we all feel comfortable.
That's being done all over the country, and things happen so fast now that we can't even get it all in. I completely forgot until I was looking through things here about Friday night, the thousands of people at a Kamala Harris rally in Houston to see Beyonce and all kinds of other folks. And that crowd was rocking. That crowd is into it. I'm not going to promise you that Texas is in play necessarily, but what you don't have is people going, well, Texas isn't in play, I may as well stay home. No, don't stay home. Don't stay home next week.
Did you see all of those doctors walk out on stage? All of those white coats, they just kept coming out and talking about what was happening in Texas. And the fellow who spearheaded it and who was behind the podium is my dear friend, Dr. Todd Ivey, who has been working in the most difficult of circumstances, and they're pushing back. It's taken a while since SB 8, and I think we were all stunned, but the doctor community, I'm sure Sherry is telling you this too, the doctor community is stepping up for our patients in ways that doctors didn't feel comfortable doing in the past. We've gotten more and more politically engaged. That's not going to stop. We have to. Yeah. You have to.
Oh, yeah. Like never before. Folks, early voting is going on right now. And so if you'd like more information about that, you can check out the Up North News voting guide, upnorthnewswi.com. Click voting guide at the top of the page. Same goes for the voter guide for Civic Media, civicmedia.us. Learn all about that. Find links to the Wisconsin Elections Commission website and cast your vote this week, so that you can talk to other friends about voting next week. Bank it up, get it done. All right, so when you're not campaigning, when you're not shaking hands and everything out there, you've got the boys at home going, all right, Mom, you've been really busy. We need you. And the thing that you did for your boys this week was in the category of dessert. Kristen's back in the kitchen. She's making dessert, kids.
Where she chooses to be.
Where she chooses to be, I hasten to add.
I haven't made a meal. I can't even tell you the last time I made a meal for my children. That
had nothing to do with campaigning, by the way. That's not your scene.
Which
she
chooses
not to do.
I don't like to cook. My idea of a meal is like, what is ready at Costco that I can pop in the oven and have done in an hour?
Like a lot of Americans, Dr. Lyerly.
I know. I just don't love it. My kids like to cook.
I was gonna
and
say,
that is joyful for them, but not for me.
Your partner did some cooking over the weekend as well. So.
Greg made a big pot of soup. It was so good. I made a big, fresh, hot apple pie. Yeah.
I believe the term you usually use is award-winning apple pie.
It was an award-winning apple pie. It was a great day. The Packers won with another end of the game field goal. I mean, McManus, come on. Then we went out and raked some leaves, made the soup and the pie. We had a beer. It was a perfect Wisconsin Sunday.
It was such a good weekend. I talked about the perfect weather Saturday for the benefit that we were working up in Jim Falls. And perhaps the best news of all, at least for the Kreitlows, is that there's been so much of a south wind, which blows the leaves perfectly out of our yard and onto the bank, where eventually they will float their way down the Chippewa until they reach a beach in Puerto Rico where they will be on vacation. The leaves are not our concern here, but no, it was great. Even with with Jordan Love going down, and hopefully it won't be for too terribly long. But Malik Willis happily stepping up, and taking over the reins. You've got folks at the Tennessee Titans, I guess, lost badly yesterday.
It was bad,
and they are already putting posts up about Malik Willis, who was their quarterback before, their backup quarterback, already has more touchdowns than the other Titans quarterbacks do. It's not been good for them, but hey, we will take it. I got no problem with that.
Yeah, we have to take it because
again, I'm always throwing that we in there.
They're our team.
Yes,
we own them.
Yes. always with the thing, you can't leave, we own you. You are here. Dispute with the city notwithstanding. But when we come back, we will have today's history lesson, and we will be joined by Selena Heller, Up North News reporter, who's going to be talking to us in the next hour a bit about more business investment in childcare, understanding that childcare is an essential part of having a healthy workforce and a healthy business community. That's all coming up on Up North News Radio. I'm Pat Kreitlow. John Taylor. Okay.
Well, there are three of them. John, Roger, and Andy.
Okay.
They're not related.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the three Taylor boys?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Dr. Lyerly, I got to talk a lot about you at the club this weekend because we were talking about doctors who served in Congress, and then someone was like, I heard there's a doctor running in Wisconsin. I'm like, oh.
Let me tell you more.
Not just a doctor, but the first OBGYN who's pro-choice. She's amazing. She makes award-winning pies. She was a gopher in college. That's not a weird thing.
No,
not at all. Good morning, Miss
I had
Heller.
to step in for Gwen Wells when she got stuck in Minneapolis due to an airplane issue. And they had her, this was in Green Bay on Friday, I guess. I don't know. Every day is an adventure. And she had to give a little speech over the phone. And so I stepped up and said a few things. And I was in full gopher regalia. And I'm really proud of myself because I live in Green Bay. And it takes a lot of guts to wear gopher regalia. But that was what was right at the moment.
Oh my.
Dr. Lyerly is a secret agent from Minnesota.
There's no secret. There's no secret there.
Nope, she's there. She's all over it. What'd you do with your weekend, Miss Heller?
Oh, all sorts of Halloween activities. Marie won a costume contest.
Oh.
At the roller rink. That was cute.
Was she dressed as like a roller derby girl or what?
Cindy Lou Who.
Oh, of course.
Aww.
Of course. That makes perfect sense. Right. Let's see. Let's do this. Let's do that. And we'll get going in 20 seconds. Journey leads off today's history lesson. And the sun shines on L.A.
Green
Steve
Bay.
Perry. No,
Green Bay.
Steve Perry, who made his debut with Journey on this day in... I'll make you all guess the year. Not Greg, obviously, but... Selena Heller's now here. Selena, Kristen, when did Steve Perry join Journey? On this day, in what year?
78.
Hint, it was the year I was born.
77.
There it is.
Wow. And I say L.A. because Steve Perry, when he had written the song before joining Journey, and he'd written it about L.A. But then it wasn't going anywhere. He felt it wasn't quite right, and then he joined Journey, and they were in San Francisco. And he said, yeah, this works better. So the light shines on the bay, and Lights became their first hit with Steve Perry in 1978.
I stick by Green Bay.
You can definitely stick with Green Bay. I don't know that Mr. Perry will agree, but that was his debut with the group. Oh gosh, 47 years ago now. Wow.
Yep.
Don't put a number on it. Just
Yeah.
say the year.
So Lights was their big hit in 1978. On this day in 1978, the number one song was by Nick Gilder.
I'm sorry, Pat. We're having some technical difficulties.
What did you do?
I didn't do anything.
What did the computer do? What did the bad computer do? Did it log you out like it logged me out about 45 minutes ago?
No, I can't. So I run 4 monitors right now.
Yes.
And I can't get the mouse over to the monitor where the music is.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. I got you covered. Hot child in the
There we go.
city.
Oh, God, no,
Is that right? Is that it?
That is.
Do I have
Nick.
it?
Yes, you did. Ding, ding, ding. Nick Gilder had the number one song this day in 1978, as you heard right there. On this day in 1492, Christopher Columbus landed in Cuba on his first voyage to the New World. He thought he'd landed in Japan. That's the importance of GPS, boys and girls. On this day in 1636, the Massachusetts Bay Colony voted to establish a theological college. You now know it as Harvard University. The Statue of Liberty was dedicated this day in 1886. On this day in 1963, as we go back to the Kristen Lyerly jukebox here, the Beach Boys released a tune featuring part of the Hawthorne High School fight song, Where the Wilson Brothers Went to School. Yes, they released Be True to Your School this day in 1963. Hit it, Kristen.
I can't.
Okay.
I can sing with it.
Oh, okay.
But that's one that I cannot produce.
I thought
for
maybe
you.
you'd even give us the little Mike Love kind of like, Be True to Your School. But
No, I can give you a little Help Me Rhonda.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
That's okay. Do you know any Brad Paisley by chance? 'Cause
As
Brad
a matter
Paisley
of fact, I do.
is 52 years old today.
I love Brad Paisley. Let's see. There's the song about the driving your truck.
The song about driving your truck. I was going to play a snippet of Mud on the Tires.
That's the one that I'm thinking
All
about.
right. Go for it, Kristen. It's all yours.
Can't.
Greg, help her out over here.
Gotta get a little mud on the tires.
Thank you, Greg.
Good.
I don't even know if that was right. I can't even ding you on that.
He's right.
Yep.
He
It's
got
right.
it.
It's good. Trust me, it's right.
Annie Potts. Annie Potts, whether you know her as Meemaw from Young Sheldon or from back in the day with Designing Women, Annie Potts is 72 years old today. The late Charlie Daniels was born this day in 1936. Kristen, you got any Charlie Daniels for us?
Hey, that's good.
That's I don't know if the fiddle goes doodaloo, but you know we'll take that.
It's
Bill Gates.
recognizable.
It is, yes. Bill Gates is 69 years old today.
Nice.
Julia Roberts is 57 today. Joaquin Phoenix turns 50 today. We played Stevie Wonder a little bit earlier because on this day in 1972, he released his 15th studio album, Talking Book, which we played a little earlier. We played You Are the Sunshine of My Life, and also included Superstition. Do you know any Superstition?
Very superstitious.
There
I
we
don't know
go.
exactly the words. The words are a hard thing for me.
The lyrics are tough at 6:56 in the morning. I
They
understand.
are.
That's okay. I've got one more for you. It was on this day in 1989 that Janet Jackson began a 4-week run atop the album chart with Rhythm Nation 1814, which included Miss You Much, Escapade, and Love Will Never Do Without You. Got a favorite off of that one?
Oh, yeah, I mean, Escapade. I don't
There you go.
know.
Okay.
I just, yeah, all of it.
Okay.
Back when Janet Jackson was cool.
Very cool. I mean, all of the Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis songs on there were just the whole album, top to bottom, was wonderful.
Also, her being a woman who took control of producing her album and having her vision represented. That was pretty unique back then.
It was, very much so. Let's see. Today would have been the 76th wedding anniversary for Chuck Berry. It was on this day in 1948 in St. Louis that Chuck Berry married his wife, Toddy Suggs. They remained married until his death in 2017 at age 90. A 68-year marriage. And Toddy is still with us today at age 97. So they were married 76 years ago today. Today is International Animation Day. Today is National First Responders Day. Today is National Immigrants Day. Today is National Chocolate Day, it says here, but I feel like there's a chocolate day like 3 times a month on this of some sort. Didn't we just have chocolate cupcakes or something? But apparently this is Chocolate Day. And finally, this is Plush Animal Lovers Day. Whether you call them plush animals, stuffed animals, stuffies, whatever the case may be. Selena, give us the number of stuffies in your house right now. Round it up to the nearest 100 if need be.
Way too many. I just like, they have no purpose.
We'll quiz Selena more about that in the second hour of Up North News Radio, perhaps with music coming up next on the Civic Media Radio Network. And this is where you can bring the doodle-doodle-doo back for 5 seconds, Krista. Whatever it takes. We'll be
That's
back.
really good.
And we're clear.
Nice timing.
Well, there's one that's going to go into the archives.
I am classically the person who doesn't know the right words, so I sing what I hear.
Sure.
So, like, for example, going back to the Beach Boys, I was an adult before I knew that the song Barbara Ann was Barbara Ann. I thought it was Barbara Ann.
Oh, we all did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Barbara Ann. What's Barbara Ann?
Barbara Ann.
Yep. First time you hear the what? Barbara Ann? What? Really?
But yeah, because you don't think about it. You just like hear what you hear.
Yeah. I wonder if Greg is having any luck getting his cursor, or if the cursor is Greg. Greg is the cursor right now.
I'm sorry, Tony.
Thank you. Tony's like, never fix the mouse.
Can I have a little warm up? Like, is there music? Do you need me to do music to come into the next segment? Because I'm going to need to look up some lyrics.
Here's the thing is, I didn't think I'd actually need this little feature here, but I do have in StreamYard, they let you put some things in here. Let's see. We got this. There we go. There.
Oh.
Play that. This one actually has the intro, I think. Let's see.
All across Wisconsin.
Oh, yeah,
from
there it
Civic
is. Okay.
Media. This is Up North.
Nice to have something on standby here. All right. I put a few other things on just for fun.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I think you should switch it out.
Oh.
I know.
After election season?
I put some old network election music on here too. Here's NBC News election music from 1976.
Oh, that's fun.
Familiar.
Yeah. Here's
1976.
weirdly specific, isn't it? Yeah. Here was my favorite morning show, was the old CBS Morning News in the early 80s. Does that not sound 80s as it gets?
It sounds late 70s.
Almost sounded like Flintstones.
Yep. This was the old NBC nightly news music from the 70s.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Then Henry Mancini took it over and did this.
Was this like you one night with a couple old fashions just finding all of these
When I found it's called Network News Music, and I thought I had found a gold mine. Like it was like reliving my childhood as a news nerd.
Man.
Yep. Let's see. What was this
I
one?
love it.
Yep.
That was his
This was
insight.
it wasn't from the start, but when Bankstead was starting the podcast, we had a clip from the middle of this song.
Who is that?
I don't know, and I know that I better get some coffee, so I'll let you listen to this.
What is this? What's going on?
Pat has sub music.
Is this?
We don't know what this is.
Yeah, can we?
He turned it on and then he left.
Okay, well, it's fixed now. I have music. I have control of the computer again, so.
Okay.
Cut that off.
This is Pat. Just go get you some coffee. Pat's got this.
Great. All right, bye.
Not that much.
We do need you though, because all of his other songs are old network news jingles.
He's gonna play.
That's so loud, though.
It's really loud.
Dear God, deliver us.
Greg's ears were hurting.
Hi, Greg.
Yeah, everything's fixed. We're good to go. Thank you, Calvin Butenhoff, for being the shining bright star today.
Thank you, Sir Cal.
All right, we lost all that great music. All right.
Can we go back to Hot Child?
I was going to say, we can definitely start the segment with it. So.
Oh, you gave me... Hold on.
Hold up.
Hold up. Yeah.
I have a cute endorsement to share.
Great, because there's another one over here we have to share with you.
Oh.
Yeah, so...
I saw one of yours, actor.
Oh, yeah,
Tony
Tony Shalhoub.
Yeah.
We ran into him at the Packer game. He was sitting right in front of me, so we staged an accidental... Tony Shalhoub, how good to see you. And he wasn't familiar with me, and it took him a minute to warm up. And then he and his friend actually, once they figured out who I was and what the situation was, they were looking for me to get a picture taken with me, but I was long gone.
Oh.
So then he went back to his sister's house and took a picture of himself by my yard sign in his sister's yard, and they emailed it to my campaign address. So they had to, he and his friend had to put effort into it.
Went out of their way. Well, that's super cool.
I know. He's such a community guy, though. He's always around the Green Bay area. People know he's here. Highly respected.
Go to a lot of Packer games?
I don't know.
Okay.
He went to that one.
Neat.
Yeah. Actually, there's a famous candy star here called Saruji's, and he is part of the Saruji's family.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
We had a Saruji's employee here.
Brittany's here to join the karaoke party now.
Ooh.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Brittany, can you turn your volume on your mic up a little bit? You're a little quiet.
Yeah.
Thank you.
How's that?
A little better, yeah.
A little better? Okay.
Could you sing Hot Child in the City for us just for a sound check?
Oh, gosh.
No.
Well, at least she's honest.
Getting all red.
Yep.
All right.
30 seconds.
across Wisconsin from Civic Media. This is Up North News Radio. Now, live from our Lake Wissota studio, here's the founding editor of Up North News, Pat Brightlow.
Oh, it's live all right. You just needed proof from that last segment to find out that this is a very live radio show brought to you by Courier Newsroom unabashedly Wisconsin. It's Up North News Radio, carried by our friends on the Civic Media Radio Network at 7:06 on this Monday morning, October 28th. Meteorologist Brittany Merlot will be with us in a moment. Greg Bach, Selena Heller, Up North News reporter, and Dr. Kristen Lyerly, congressional candidate, OBGYN, and human jukebox, able to join us as well when the computer goes down and we can't play any of the music. Tony and Ashlyn writes, never fix the mouse. That whole segment was gold. Don't fix it. So we've got one vote for Kristen singing our music during the history lesson from this point forward.
And to everybody else out there, I'm sorry.
And Rob from Tigerton is now demanding Monday morning karaoke after the elections with Kristen.
Oh, I love this. Come on.
Yep. Good morning from Tigerton. He writes, it's clear in 33, a relaxing Saturday after mowing some leaves. I like that. We're now we're mowing the leaves phase of things. Mm-hmm. I went to Shawano. I got to see Kristen and her friends at Franklin Park. They are nice people. Got to tour the bus. It was a great day. Yesterday, watched the Packers win, but seeing the Landover Miracle, and Jim Nance has called 3 game-winning Hail Marys. He called Falcons 49ers in 91, Packers Lions in 2015, and the Bears and the Washington Commanders yesterday. I hadn't seen it live. I just started getting texts from people going, are you seeing this Bears game? To which Rob adds, hey, Brittany, how many Bears fans busted their TV sets last night after that game?
Probably everyone.
For folks that missed it, the Bears had it won. They had scored a touchdown with less than 30 seconds left. They were in Washington. The Commanders got the ball. They were at about the 30-yard, their own 30-yard line. So they had to go 70 yards on a Hail Mary. And they did, because the one Bears player was busy mugging to the crowd and didn't get into his position in time. And the Washington quarterback heaved it up, and it bounced off a couple of Bears' hands and into the paws of a Washington player for the winning touchdown. It was really something to see. Yeah. So
it was incredible. I've never heard Craig yell so loud. Like, Craig is a police officer. He keeps it under taps. You know, he's like a calm guy. He was screaming in the kitchen. I was like, what? Yeah.
It was
and the Bears fall to 4, and who cares? All right.
Pretty much. And that's how the fans are too. They're like, this is typical.
Yep.
We're done.
Well, but again, they had the unbridled enthusiasm of another new quarterback, and this was going to be the quarterback that did it, and did not. So
I would
that's
never
where
be a quarterback and play for the Bears. I'm just saying. There's
no,
some curse over there.
No, what you want to do? You want to be the kicker now that kicks for the Packers after Brandon McManus 2 games in a row gets the game-winning field goal as time expires, and the Packers go on to win. Brittany, forgive us for one moment. I got one other thing here of note. This is from Rob saying, the farmers who lease my family's property says that they are voting for Kristen. And he goes on to say, I want to make my own huge endorsement for Kristen for Congress. Aww. And Kristen's that's not the only endorsement news that you have for us this morning.
Well, first, thank you, Rob. It was really a joy to spend some time with you and Shawano this weekend. We have a huge endorsement that we are announcing today. Former coach Mike Holmgren, and not just Coach Holmgren, Super Bowl winning legendary Coach Holmgren, but also his daughter Kala, who is a high-risk pregnancy doctor, are doing a joint endorsement for us today. And it is so exciting and just such an honor.
That's great. Congratulations.
Yeah.
So much happening in these 8 final days before the election. It's going to start with another nice warm-up, then another cool down. Brittany, how warm are we talking before we head back to seasonal reality?
Ooh, near record breaking. I feel like a lot of places in the state are going to hit some records both tomorrow and potentially even into Wednesday as well as we hang on to some of that heat. So right now today, mid to upper 60s. A few more clouds out there. Breezy conditions out of the south are going to warm us up tomorrow to the upper 70s into the low 80s. I mean, this is going to be record breaking. Records are from 1937, 1901. So quite a bit away. And we're going to hold on to those mid to upper 70s even into Wednesday as this cold front starts to creep near us. We'll still be nice and warm before the rain. And then the rain arrives, and that's going to be Wednesday throughout the day, even into our Thursday morning on Halloween morning. I'm hoping it kicks on out of here by the afternoon. It looks like it should, but those temperatures are going to plummet for those kids out there trick-or-treating. So keep in mind that by about 5 o'clock, it's going to be in the upper 40s and falling to the low 30s.
Of course it is.
No.
Of course it is.
I
And of
know.
course, watching some national news this morning, they're talking about the big warm up, and then they're talking about how Halloween is going to be so warm and wonderful for the kids out east. It's like, again, here in flyover land, you could maybe mention that it's going to get really cold for the trick-or-treaters again. So bake that into your costume ideas.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Brittany. Appreciate it so much. Have a wonderful day.
You too.
So we got the costumes coming up, and Selena has already been busy with her award-winning costumes. What did you do with Emery over the weekend?
Emery's costume is Cindy Lou Who from the
Of
Grinch.
course,
And then
yes.
I have a Max costume, so I have the antler and Emery.
Your Max?
Yep.
Oh my God, that's the most adorable thing I've heard today. That's so fun.
That's cute. Everybody, we went to different places downtown trick-or-treating here in Eau Claire. And so everybody was, because her hair was, done up like the
Yes.
Cindy Lou Who hair. And she had a good outfit that we put together. So it was very cute. She won a contest. It was very cute.
That's so great. And now, is that what she'll be on Thursday as well, or is this? I got a feeling you guys are like a Beyonce or a concert or Taylor. There's going to be all these costume changes along the
We
way.
did come out with a different one yesterday. We were a zookeeper and I was a tiger. So we switched it up, but she will be. I know our friends are like, okay, here's number 2. Okay, here's.
Wow.
Yeah, we like costumes. It's our fun. And so we switch it up. But I think she decided she's going to do Cindy Lou Who on Halloween.
That's great. Virginia writes in on Facebook.
Yeah.
How is it even Halloween if I'm not wearing a snowsuit under my costume? I mean, welcome to the Midwest, Kristen.
Yep, that's my Irish cousin right there who's zooming in from literally Ireland, and I bet they're going to have a much more temperate Halloween than we are here.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you all favorite costumes, Selena, of over the years. Which one of you? What costume do you look back and go, "Yep, that was the best one"?
Oh gosh. Well, Emery was trying to guess my favorite, and she said, "I know what it was. Pippi Longstocking."
Oh,
Was she right?
In the hair.
Well, that was good. I think that was probably a 3rd grade, and my mom did my braids sticking out with wires, so the whole bit. Yeah.
Oh, fun.
Pippi was a good one.
Kristen, you wear costumes, or once did regularly as Goldie Gopher and whatever else you've done. But what's been your best Halloween costume?
Despite the fact that I was a mascot, I'm really not much of a costume person. But on the opposite end of the spectrum, my kids are not really costume people. My kid's favorite costume was when Julian went one year as enthusiastic guy in a coat. Like that was
That sounds like some deep, like you read a philosophy book. You're like, I am interesting man in coat.
That was what he went as, and that was what he told people he was, and that is in the lore of the Lyerly lore.
Now, Greg, you and I said we're not the biggest Halloween fan. Did you ever have a year where you put on something and go, okay, if I were, I'd wear that again?
Yeah, well, I did one year. I went to a Halloween party and I had like a cheap Batman cowl, like of like a fabric, not even like a cool like heavy material. So I put that on. I put it at a T-shirt that just had the old Adam West Batman logo, a pair of cargo shorts and flip flops, and I fashioned a holster for a bottle of whatever I wanted out of duct tape. And I just walked around. I called myself Batman Dad on the weekend. And I was just grumbling and complaining about Wonder Woman or Catwoman or whatever woman broke my heart. They're not my kids. I know it.
Wow. We're putting a lot of thought into these costumes. I mentioned having dressed up as a gangster on Saturday for a function, and I'd completely forgotten till I was talking to my daughters last night, and they said, well, you were a gangster once before. And I realized they weren't talking about Halloween, but the St. Joseph's Hospital Auxiliary Ball was held every spring in Chippewa Falls for many years. And I emceed it for quite a few years in a row. There was always a theme. And so that year was kind of a 30s theme. And so I was in the gangster outfit. And again, you had months in advance, you had to get your whole costume and shtick ready. And I think the one I think I actually liked best, just because the costume fit so well, good colors and everything, was there was a circus theme one year. And I was in this ringmaster outfit, which was really nice. Kristen.
I don't really see you as a gangster. Like, that's a stretch for me. But I could see you as maybe like Captain Kangaroo.
That's not what I
Hope you all enjoyed Kristen Lyerly's many appearances over the years. We wish her well in her future endeavors.
It was not the compliment you thought it was it? Huh?
You guys remember the plastic masks with the
of course.
Oh,
yes. And they'd get all sweaty as you tried to breathe.
Yeah.
What did you just hear? I'm sweaty He-Man. All right, cool.
Just a plastic like cape.
But whatever, we had the old plastic outfits and everything, but I spent a big chunk of my childhood in a big apartment complex with like at least 200 units in it, at least 300 units in it. And so while most kids go to, trick or treating with like a little plastic pumpkin or something, you always went with a pillowcase. And that thing filled up, man. I mean, not all the way full, but you basically got a pillowcase full of candy. By being there. Oh, good morning, Whiskers. Whiskers has come in, and it's like somebody needed a Halloween cat to get right in the camera.
Hello, Whiskers. We meet again.
Outfits on.
So we had to get all of this out of the way because on Halloween, we're not going to be talking about this. We're going to be grumbling about the weather because that's apparently what we're left with now is cold and rain. All right. We mentioned that the Packers were winners yesterday. Also over the weekend, let's see, the Bucks lost to the Brooklyn Nets 115-102. They are in Boston tonight to play the Celtics. The Badger football team lost to third-ranked Penn State 28-13. Their next game is at Iowa this coming Saturday evening. NBC has the game on TV. Civic Media has the game here on your radio. Stations in Amory, Wisconsin Rapids, Racine, Kenosha, and Richland Center, and on the Civic Media app. When we come back, Selena's going to be talking all about the business community, again, continuing to get the message that a healthy childcare sector makes for a healthy economy. This is Up North News Radio. I'm Pat Reitlow. All right, here we go. All right, Kristen, you got to go, or
I could stick around a little bit longer.
Okay, we'll do the child care. I still haven't teased the guest at 7:30, so we got stuff to do.
Lots of stuff.
Mm-hmm. No end of the stuff.
Nope.
I have to say, though, I'm feeling like eerily calm with 8 days left until the election.
Really?
Yeah.
Eerily?
Yeah, people keep asking, are you sleeping? How are things going? I'm like, yeah, I sleep like a baby.
Oh, wow.
I do. I don't wake up. I wake up in the morning. I'm just like, hit the ground running.
That's good.
Yeah. I feel hopeful. Also,
Yeah.
I love like new things and I love organizing and planning. So I keep thinking about November 5th is election day, obviously. November 6th is a whole new landscape. And that's when we're looking at like, what are the opportunities? Where can we go? Who do I need to talk to? How can I fix this? So, to me, this is all just kind of part of the process. And I think a lot of people are like, election day is this day and that's when it ends. It's a continuum.
Oh, all I think about is, we're jumping right into the Supreme Court race and the school board races. And
it's just a different flavor.
It's just, it just keeps rolling. Let's see. I thought I had something here. Nope, I do not. I'm running out of promos because all my promos are election related over here.
Did you send Greg the sound?
I did.
Thank you.
Yep.
Good.
Here we go. This is the actual Janet Jackson album, Rhythm Nation, released this day in 1989. It is not Kristen doing her beatbox thing like she was in our last hour when the music wasn't working. So
we do what we can.
Yes, we are 15 minutes away from talking to Matthew Lenner, who is the chair of the College Democrats of Wisconsin, talking about college students who are getting texted with false information or intimidating information designed to prevent them from voting. We will talk more about that and other issues important to the many college student voters out there as we head to the final full week of the 2024 campaign. And we are less than 30 minutes away from the beginning of our weekly 7:50 in the morning visits with Jane Matinaire, talking about what's on Matinaire on Air with Jane and Greg. That Greg right over there, coming up at 10 o'clock.
I'm Greg.
He will be joining us. Let's see. We got a note on YouTube as well from Alicia Saunders saying that she had a great conversation yesterday at Doing Doors about childcare, which takes us to Selena Heller and the story that she's going to be doing for Up North News. You've done a couple of stories now about childcare, the crisis of affordable, quality childcare, how school districts are trying to help out, and how the business community is trying to help out as well.
Oh, right. And yeah, a few weeks ago, we talked to a lot of school districts, several, just about how they're adding daycares or want to add daycares onto their schools. And now we're talking to the business community. So a lot happening out there with childcare because it's such a widespread issue and not just one person's problem to deal with. So in this case, it is about business leaders. And so in 2017, this happened in Jackson County where a CEO of a credit union and a Jackson Electric just were talking in the lobby of a credit union, and they were like, yeah, how's it going? And they started talking about childcare. And that's how it all began.
Well, because they were really getting into the notion of they were losing a lot of productivity, right?
Yes, exactly. They were talking about, a lot of people weren't coming to work. And that was the start of the whole big conversation.
Okay. So who's going to talk to us about that here?
So this is Marianne Torkelson, and she is the chair of the Jackson County Child Care Network. And now this organization started since that conversation, and now it's a nonprofit. So it is doing a lot of good in the county. And so this is what she had to say about kind of how they started and the work they did. And they did a survey, and it kind of had a big number in lost productivity. So here's Marianne.
We found that employers in Jackson County were losing over $2.5 million a year in productivity due to childcare. Employees were unable to come to work. They were coming in late, were not able to work to their full potential while they were working. Many days they would spend struggling to find childcare for the next day. Add to that then what that did to the families. Little kids were going to bed at night. Mommy, where am I going to go tomorrow? Well, I'm not sure, honey, but when you wake up in the morning, Mommy will have it figured out. So there's just a lack of consistent quality care for those children.
So they were clearly aware. These more and more employers were trying to figure it out. So what did this particular little consortium do about it?
Well, a lot of people kind of joined that effort. First, it was business leaders, and then they got the schools involved, and public health care leaders and providers and parents and local government. Even the Wisconsin Department of Children and Families kind of all got involved, and they did lots of talking, trying to come up with little innovative ideas. And so then they got some grants, and they were trying to help out existing daycares and pay more money to the workers. And so Marianne now talks about just kind of the critical importance of high quality childcare for a healthy Wisconsin economy, and some money they got from appropriations from Senator Tammy Baldwin.
That is a fantastic grant for us to receive, and we are just getting started in doing some planning. As we wrote the grant, we were looking at innovative solutions micro centers, incubators, just all kinds of different things to really support not only group centers, but also family providers. We find in our community that many families prefer that small, intimate family provider. And so what can we do to make starting your own childcare business easy for providers? How can we support them? How can we give them the tools and the mentoring that they need to do that effectively?
So we're seeing that investment made in this case with federal dollars through Senator Baldwin. Obviously, this was something that Governor Evers wanted to get done in the legislature as well, but was not able to do that because the Republican legislature, in the middle of the night in a 2:30 a.m. vote in the Joint Finance Committee, took Governor Evers' proposal for child care counts and took his, $350 million in pandemic aid that he wanted to use for this and turned it to zero. So, he eventually did find some other pandemic aid to put to use, but this problem is still far from fixed.
Oh, right. I mean, they got $1 million. That makes you think, okay, it makes you stop and think. And then that $2.5 million in lost productivity, she said, that made the community stop and think this really is a problem. So it's not going to be helped anytime soon or fixed anytime soon. It'll be helped with more and more of these groups are coming together, like the Jackson County Child Care Network in the state of Wisconsin, after realizing they all need to kind of come up with solutions. So there are more groups like this forming. So that's kind of a positive thing in all of this.
That's something that a potential future member of Congress might want to know about and be able to help out families and, frankly, the Northeast Wisconsin economy.
Well, sure. I mean, also a mother of four who is still paying off my student loan debt because of childcare. And we lived in Madison, so there were lots of options, but it was still a struggle for us. When you are in a small town, a county like Jackson County, Oconto County, where childcare providers are struggling to provide childcare, people are struggling to access childcare. Here is another place where people who live in rural areas are disproportionately affected, and we have an opportunity to lift families up and build communities by investing in childcare.
And you're going to do that by giving a tax cut just to millionaires? Is that how it works?
No.
That's to hear some people.
Radio producers.
Yeah, right? No, it does not. It takes targeted investments in the middle class.
It does.
All right. Well, Kristen, thanks so much. Good luck. We'll touch base soon. Safe travels
Thanks,
on the
friends.
campaign trail there.
See you later.
Selena, thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. And when we come back, we're going to be talking about the importance of that college student vote in the 8th Congressional District, in the 3rd, and all over the state. That's coming up next. You're Up North. Here we go. Oh, Kristen, you sounded really good there. Or was that Janet again? Oops.
It was me.
Okay.
Definitely, that was me.
Gotcha. And again,
That was good.
all right, Matthew Lehner. Thank you. Got that.
We are meeting with the St. Norbert College folks tonight. I don't know if there's like a way you want to slip that in there, but
Okay.
it just like that is happening up here too. So
St.
My
Norbert.
sister went there.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've got GB on board. Lawrence Dems are incredibly active. College Dems are all over it.
Awesome. All right.
Rock and roll. All right.
All right.
I'm going to
Have
take off
fun,
for a second.
guys.
All right. See y'all later.
Pat, you have no one at 7:30, right? It's just you?
Yeah, I do. No, I have a guest. He's coming in. Matthew Lehner will be here any minute now. Did I not put him in the rundown? I'm
You did
sorry.
not. That's fine. All right, cool. Bye.
Where? Oh, I didn't. There he is. Okay. Well, here. Look, he's here now.
Wait a second.
Oh, wow.
Okay, cool.
That was
All right.
amazing. Okay. Matthew, how are you?
Good. How are you, Pat? Thanks for having me on.
Oh, no, thank you for being here. Appreciate it so much.
Of course.
All right, so I've got the stories here that you sent.
Yes.
Are there other activities going on that you want to tell folks about? I'm sure you guys have been so busy with surrogates and VIPs stopping in and everything.
Oh, absolutely. And of course, with the big surrogates, we only get 48 hours notice.
Right.
The whole event. But yeah, just a whole lot of tabling, a whole lot of knocking doors. I did triple shifts every day this weekend, and a lot of our board are as well. We're tabling 5 days a week. Got some German television crew coming up to Eau Claire tomorrow. So it's we're in the thick of it for sure. So
okay, sounds good. All right, everything looks good there. So I'm going to tuck you back in the waiting room. We'll get going in 2 minutes.
Sounds good. Thank you, Pat.
You bet. Welcome back to Up North News Radio on this Monday morning. It's the 28th day of October, 8 days away now from Election Day. We mentioned earlier that there was a rally at Madison Square Garden last evening for former President Donald Trump. Again, we say things are going to get a little crazier. Racier isn't the right word. Racistier is perhaps the right word for what we heard there yesterday. But on the other hand, we also have seen more happy instances of joy of surrogates and VIPs that are campaigning on behalf of Vice President Kamala Harris. There will be more surrogates coming through the area this week all across Wisconsin. It says, let's see, a Journal Sentinel story notes that Republican vice presidential nominee J.D. Vance will hold an event at the Wausau Downtown Airport this afternoon at 2. Democratic vice presidential nominee Tim Walz will be in Manitowoc and Waukesha today, according to the campaign. Vice President Kamala Harris will be at UW-Madison on Wednesday. Of course, former President Barack Obama was in Madison last week. And former President Trump will hold a rally at the Fiserv Forum this coming Friday, site of the Republican National Convention, but also an equally large crowd for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz during the Democratic Convention. All this is to say that voting is going on right now, and that you should vote. You should vote early if you're able. Go to myvote.wi.gov for more information. And if you are a college student, The rules about voting are not ambiguous. You might have to review them, but do not be fooled by mysterious text messages that you might be getting meant to intimidate you into not voting. And to join us with more about that right now, we're proud to be joined by Matthew Lehner, who is the chair of the Wisconsin College Democrats. Matthew, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Pat. So great to be on. Thanks for having me.
Nice to have you here. And obviously, we want to talk to you anyway about the importance of college students voting all around the state. But of course, first we have to take care of the monkey business that's going on here. And these are texts that, in some ways are not necessarily, threatening. But we saw the same thing with billboards that were put up in predominantly, Milwaukee areas with communities of color that said, voter fraud is a crime and meant to intimidate. Now, college students, some of them, are getting texts that say, warning, violating Wisconsin statute 12.13 or 6.18 may result in fines up to $10,000 or 3.5 years in prison. Don't vote in a state where you're not eligible. And Matthew, that all might even be factually true, but of course it's not there as a public service announcement, is it?
No, it is certainly not. I just want to be clear right off the bat. If you are a college student in the state of Wisconsin, you are a Wisconsin resident and are able to vote on campus. It is legally allowed. Do not listen to these text messages. You get these text messages reported to the Wisconsin Elections Commission because it's voter intimidation.
That's all it is just, again, like the billboards themselves, is
Exactly.
anything that makes somebody think twice, like, oh, voting might not be worth the hassle. But the like you said, the rule is very clear. In Wisconsin, if you have lived in a particular election district or a ward, a precinct, whatever terminology you use, if you've lived in there for 28 consecutive days without the intention of leaving anytime soon, you can vote. You can vote in that district. The important point legally is then, now don't also vote back home, whether
Correct.
it's in Wisconsin or in another state. But as a college student, essentially, you have a little bit more power than you know. You can vote back home, or you can vote where you're going to college and figure out you can kind of say, where does my vote make the most difference? Because again, legally, you're a voter here, you're a resident here, you're a voter here.
Exactly. Yeah, and I of course make the case in my role as chair of Wisconsin College Democrats when I'm tabling on campuses, as well as encouraging my board as well to make sure that we encourage students to vote in Wisconsin, because this is a swing state. And of course, on my end, I want Kamala Harris and Tim Walz to be the next president and vice president of the United States. And your vote has a lot more impact here than it does in Minnesota or anywhere else. And frankly, college students live most of their time here, spend most of their time here. If you work in the state of Wisconsin, you pay taxes in the state of Wisconsin, sales tax, obviously. And so it's important to have, your voice heard here because you live most of the time here. And so, it's just natural to vote here in the state of Wisconsin versus anywhere else. And
I'm glad to hear you use that phrase. You are a taxpayer here. Now,
Yes.
Again, maybe you're not paying, I was going to say Donald Trump level, but his taxes are a whole different matter. You're not paying Eric Hovde level taxes, but you're paying taxes here. You're working here. And frankly, if you're also voting here, you may feel a bit more invested in the outcome and want to put down roots here. And that's something that's very important to folks in Wisconsin, is that college students, wherever they came from originally, when they're done with college, feel like this is a place they can call home where they can work, pay taxes, and vote.
Yes, exactly. And I am originally from Waukesha County, Sussex, to be specific. And, I've lived there 18 years of my life before coming up to school, came up to Eau Claire, fell in love with the area in the Chippewa Valley. And so I'd like to make roots here too. And so voting is a natural way of doing that, making roots, establishing residency, having stake in the community. I've run for local office twice up in Eau Claire as well. So again, it's just about using your power, using your voice. And, it's a great way to establish a residency and get involved in the community as well.
Yeah. I mean, you and I both know a thing about coming to UW Eau Claire and falling in love with the Chippewa Valley. It just has a way of doing that. Now, I know, obviously from past experience and from, recent evidence, that voting on campus, like voting in a lot of places, may involve some very long lines. Early voting is certainly an option, But there is also the option next week that I think you want to pass on to college students wherever they are and voters wherever they are. You have the option to be patient while we're in that line and not get discouraged. Don't go home.
Right. And I just want to say, like, you have options too, right? Pat, you've said at the top of the hour of your show today, and throughout the show, I'm sure that early voting is happening now. You can cast your ballot early. If you're a Wisconsin college student, that applies to you too. Go to our Instagram, College Democrats of Wisconsin. We have a post up there that for every campus of what your early voting location is. And so you can make your voice heard that way as well. In most cases, all you need is your student ID. And then the polling place, if you live on campus, the polling place has the on-campus residency book there. So you can vote early at your early voting location, get it done with, and skip those lines. But of course, if you are welcome to decide to vote on an election day, there may be some lines, but I will assure you that our College Dems chapters will be handing out snacks and food and everything like that in line. And it's important just to stay in line because this election is so critical and so much is on the line. So any time that you spend waiting in line is worth it so that we get the right people in office.
Can we talk about the importance statewide of college students, especially in the areas where they can truly make a difference? And I often think of the 3rd Congressional District about that. Absolutely. With the schools that are either in the 3rd Congressional District or near enough that there are students who live within the borders of the 3rd Congressional District. And when you look at how close these races are, I mean, college students alone could be a difference maker next week, Tuesday, in that key swing district.
You're absolutely right. And it is not hyperbole when we say that Wisconsin college students will be the margin of victory in the state. We have seen in past elections, whether it is 2022 and 2023, that we move the needle for Democrats up and down the ballot. And why is that? Because Democrats are speaking to young people. The Democratic agenda is the agenda that young people get behind and believe in, whether it's gun rights, gun control, whether it is climate justice, racial justice, voting rights. All of those important issues are the issues that young people care about. And so if young people, get out in record numbers as we did in 2022 and 2023, we will be the difference in this election, especially since it is so close. And when people say it will come down to 2 votes per ward, that is no joke. It may come down to that in this state, as well as Michigan and Pennsylvania. And so if you're a college student, just know that you have the impact to make the decision on who will get elected to the White House this November. In addition, as you mentioned, the 3rd congressional race, Derek Van Orden is not an ally of young people. And in fact, yelling at Senate pages, had an ethics complaint filed against him for doing just that. And so, there are 6 college campuses across the 3rd congressional district as well. And those college campuses, I certainly believe too, given that the race between Rebecca Cook and Derek Van Orden is so close, according to the polls, that we will be the tipping point in that seat as well. So you have a lot of power to make a difference. If you believe that this country should go forward in a new direction with Kamala Harris, Rebecca Cook, Tammy Baldwin as well, then make sure to use your power in the state because it couldn't be more critical.
We're talking to Matthew Lehner. He's chair of the Wisconsin College Democrats, and we're talking about college students and the power they have for voting coming up next week or early voting. And yours is a generation, as every next generation, every new generation of voters is more savvy on the technology and the media than the one before. We have talked at great length about how social media has pros and cons, the immense damage that was done in 2016 by Russian-based disinformation that found its way through Facebook. Right. When you look at the landscape of social media right now, how would you frame, both the good and the bad from it? I'm going to guess that the bad isn't so much misinformation as if you're exposed to it too much, it's so negative and you want to walk away from it. But would you put something else in its place? And what about the positives of social media for college-age voters?
Yeah, well, I would certainly agree with you on that last point. My Twitter feed can get a little scary sometimes, as well as the rest of my social media feeds. But needless to say, I think social media has a tremendous positive influence on elections, in addition to getting young people out to vote. I think there's no way that we would have had the record turnout that we did on campus in the 2023 Supreme Court election without social media and groups coming in, as well as, famous TikTokers that talked about elections and were getting into the hearts and minds of young people and the screens of young people, talking about the importance of electing Janet Protasewicz. If we did not have that perfect storm, I don't think you would have seen a scenario where, in fact, that Janet Protasewicz got more votes than Tony Evers did on the UW-Eau Claire campus, which for a spring election is unheard of. So social media has tremendous power. And I think you're seeing that in 2024 with, several social media influencers talking about this election. Wisco Project as well, putting, millions of dollars into digital ads across the state of Wisconsin, and the Democratic Party as well, investing in digital ads specifically targeted to college students. So it has tremendous power. And of course, the downside is that, folks like me who are unashamed about their viewpoints, get a lot of cyberbullying online, and I have thick skin, so it's no problem for me. But of course, disinformation is an extremely bad problem that we see. And I think it does affect young people because, I oftentimes get that from young people that come up to table that like the border is the most important issue and that Kamala's not doing anything about the border. And then you have to kind of, get into them and say like, well, look, when Donald Trump was, president, not only did he do nothing about the border, but when he was a former president, he actually blocked a border bill that would have solved the border security issue from passing, a bipartisan border bill from passing. So, obviously social media does have a lot of disinformation and that does affect young people, but it's important that we cut through it. But I think in general, social media has a tremendous impact on the way we do elections, and it gets young people out to vote, which is always so critical.
And the thing that I like most now is that we've gone from a time where I think a lot of college students weren't plugged in and maybe turned to, mom and dad or somebody else and said, hey, what do you know about these candidates? To now it's the college students who can ring up, their parents or a sibling or whatever and say, hey, here's a little personal canvassing. Here's a little, what I think, and maybe be that influencer on somebody else's vote. Matthew Lehner is chair of the College Dems of Wisconsin. Appreciate it so much, Matthew. Thank you for all you're doing. I know you got a crazy week ahead of you, so thanks for taking some time with us.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on, Pat. I appreciate it.
You bet. Have a great day. And by the way, you can get Dan Schaefer's voting guide from civicmedia.us. Again, that's a review of all 115 legislative races and much more. That's at civicmedia.us. And the Up North News voting guide, head over to upnorthnewswi.com. Click voting guide in the top banner. Jane Matnair joins us right after this. You're Up North.
Devils in the house of the rising sun. Chicken in the bread and a picking out dough. Granny with your dog bite, no child, no.
Hey, kid, how you doing?
I am good, Pat. How are you?
Good.
How does this sound?
You sound great. Look at you being. I didn't even see. You're like stealthy.
I know. I just snuck right in.
Boom! Here I am.
Sneaky that way. Wow. Okay. What is it? What do you have? Do you have a bullpen back there for?
This is our This is our new bullpen. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is great.
It's cold in here.
Well, to everything there is a season, and now it's.
Wow. Thank you.
Yeah, it's going to. It's not going to be good. We got to fix that. We got to get you a wood stove in there.
I think we have to bring that little space heater, Greg, that we left in Waukesha.
Jane, can you turn your mic up a little bit? You're a little quiet.
Check.
Or just bring it closer to you because you're quiet. So
that's about as far as it. That's about as
perfect.
hot as it gets.
That's better. That's great. All right, 15 seconds.
No, it's not. It's a minute 15. You're still doing that with the break here, aren't you?
Nope, I'm wrong. I got a minute and 15 seconds.
I can't wait for these clocks to get fixed.
Okay.
Consistent clocks. That's all I want, people.
It's my first. Oh, and then, this weekend they were like, it's the same clock as the week. I'm like, yeah, totally on Saturday. And they're like, no, it's not. I'm like, no, it's not. Sorry.
That's okay.
But at least my mouse works.
That was funny. I mean, not to you. Nobody likes to be panic-stricken.
Now I know how to fix it, which is the best part. So
you
don't need the clips again, the Trump or the Michelle Obama clips, do you?
Actually, let's play the Michelle Obama one again.
It was so good.
Yeah, let's do that.
All right. All right. Now we have just about 20 seconds. See you in a bit.
We have now made so many people look at their watch and go, wait, what? Is it 10 a.m.? No.
I
no.
just did that.
But soon it will be 10 a.m. when Greg Bach is joined by Jane Matnair, radio professional, who joins us now on Up North News Radio. Jane, good morning.
Good morning, Pat Kreitlow. Thank you so much for inviting me to join you.
Oh, this is lovely. I really appreciate this. You starting and kind of telling us what to expect this week with you and Mr. Bach on air. How was your weekend?
The weekend was great, and I actually got some stuff done outside. It was such a nice weekend, weather-wise anyway. And then, tragically, I spent way too much time yesterday on Twitter following the hate rally at Madison Square Garden.
Oh boy, that thing was. I not worried, but I was concerned. People for the couple of weeks leading up to it were like, "Oh man, this is going to be practically a Nazi rally. This is going to be just ugly." And I thought, well, it might not. And boy, it was as bad or worse. And we're not going to play the clips again, but I'm sure you'll hear them throughout the course of the day here. Just some of the racist garbage that was out there, which is, the Trump campaign was eventually going to go that way, and I'm sure you'll chat about it. So let's start with something a bit more, maybe positive isn't the right word, but hopeful. Michelle Obama is not having this.
And what a great speaker she is.
Oh, she's amazing when she is positive, and don't worry, she was plenty positive in her remarks in Kalamazoo yesterday. But she also had this to say, speaking for a lot of us out there.
So I hope you'll forgive me if I'm a little frustrated that some of us are choosing to ignore Donald Trump's gross incompetence while asking Kamala to dazzle us at every turn. I hope that you'll forgive me if I'm a little angry that we are indifferent to his erratic behavior, his obvious mental decline, his history as a convicted felon, a known slumlord, a predator found liable for sexual abuse, all of this, while we pick apart Kamala's answers from interviews that he doesn't even have the courage to do, y'all.
Don't make her bust out the y'all, because it's serious then, and she is 1,000% right that
Mom's
we are
so
holding.
mad at us.
We are at such a different standard between one or the other, Jane.
Can you imagine if any of the things that were said yesterday at the Madison Square Garden rally had been said by Democrats?
Any of them, any one of them.
Pick anything. These people, we need to slaughter them. We need to. There were so many. It's just the dichotomy between the Harris campaign and the Trump campaign, and the level of anger and vitriol and overall nastiness that is being celebrated. And that should concern all of us.
But to what degree, Jane, are we still going through a bit of PTSD about 2016? Because, again, there was nothing but confidence in Hillary Clinton. But, again, because Hillary wasn't perfect or because of complacency, Hillary's got this in the bag. A lot of folks didn't show up in 2016, and that was the margin. That, in my mind, it always will be. And I just don't think people are doing that this time around. They've learned their lesson. They're going to vote. But good luck finding many Democrats who would exude anything resembling confidence, even after a Trump rally like that last night.
I don't disagree with you, Pat. And I've seen some folks, some other journalists say things like, it's so like the Democrats to just assume we're going to lose. And the other side, the Republican side, is always so remarkably confident that of course we're going to win. Why would we not win? So I guess I would rather have the Harris supporters feel a little concerned and a little less confident, so that it motivates them to continue over the next 8 days to knock on doors or to make phone calls or to, we say it in our show all the time, share what you know. If you understand what this constitutional amendment will do, then share that with your friends and neighbors and explain to them how this is going to narrow the focus on who is going to be allowed to vote. That's what I think is important. It's easy to get frustrated, downhearted, but disheartened, but we got to keep it up. We got to keep it up. I voted early on Friday, and I waited about a half an hour, and I just don't think that we've seen early voting turnout like this before.
No, we haven't, and we'll have fresh numbers here coming up in just a bit. What kind of things do you have coming up this week between 10 a.m. and noon?
Well, today we are going to be talking to Christy Welch. She is running in the Wisconsin 88th Assembly District. Of course, you, Mr. Kreitlow, will be joining us tomorrow from 10:30 to 11. One of our favorite guests, Mary Hayes, is going to be here tomorrow from 11 to 11:30. She is the head of the Bayfield-Ashland Democratic Party, and I'm looking forward to an update from Mary on whether or not she concreted her Harris Wall signs into the ground so they weren't able to steal them anymore. On Wednesday, Dr. Kristen Lyerly will be here, of course, running in the 8th Congressional District. Ben Wickler, the chair of the Wisconsin Democrats, joining us Wednesday from 11 to 11:30. And, of course, we wrap up every show every day now with our regular feature called This Shouldn't Be a Thing.
What? So is that a daily feature now?
It's a daily feature now, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have a favorite or two for folks who might wonder, like, what kinds of
Fridays
things?
was pretty good. Fridays, This Shouldn't Be a Thing, was a Republican operative looking to encourage Republicans in Pennsylvania to vote. And he went to an address and he didn't see any people there. It was listed that there were 53 voters at this location. It was a convent.
It was a convent.
It was a convent.
No, that's voter fraud.
Yeah,
no, you just wouldn't understand holy people if they bit you in the rosary.
That's one of our most recent. This shouldn't be a thing.
Wonderful.
Another one was a woman in Thailand who was washing her dishes and she got bit, and it was a 14-foot long python that wrapped around her for 2.5 hours.
That shouldn't be a thing. Anything.
That shouldn't be a thing.
Jane Matner back at 10 a.m. Thank you, Jane.
Thanks
for joining us. Have a wonderful Monday.